It's summer, now's a good time to make lemon bars. I also decided to make these to use up the graham crackers and lemons that I've had sitting around for a while. I have this packet of graham crackers that expired last year. I'm laying them out in this 9x13 pan to get an idea of how much crust they would make. I think that would be a little too thin, so I'm going to supplement with some flour. How much? Well, these graham crackers weigh about 140 grams. If I add a cup and a quarter of flour, that would make 300 grams of dry ingredients. If I pretend this is going to be a giant cookie, I can use the 1-2-3 sugar-fat flour ratio as a guideline. That makes the math easy. I'll just use 200 grams of butter, which is almost 2 sticks. Whip that at room temperature for a bit and slowly add in a half cup of sugar, which is about 100 grams. I entertained the idea of not using my food processor to crush the graham crackers, but it's the easiest way to do it. It's a handy thing to have, it just takes forever to dry after you wash it. Anyway, I dump that in and start to mix it. Yeah, I should have used a hand mixer for this. And there's a half cup of flour, 1 cup, cup and a quarter. I didn't do it this way because, oh my gosh, this is the best way to make lemon bar crust. Throw away all your other recipes. No, I just like to find ways to work with what I have. Understanding the basics of how different baked goods are made and what substitutions are possible can help you get away from having to follow recipes for everything. This crust ended up turning out pretty good, and it was unique because I used a combination of ingredients that I never have before. Okay, this goes into the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 minutes. While that's baking, I prepare the filling. That's a cup of sugar going into a medium saucepan. Now the zest of 3 lemons, which in this case is more like 2 because these are like 5 weeks old and they have some sketchy looking spots that I'm avoiding. They're not moldy or anything and they've just seen better days. Now I add a little more than a half cup of cornstarch. I like to err on the side of adding a little too much. I would rather have the filling be too firm than runny. Then 2 cups of water. I will also squeeze the juice out of these 3 lemons through a strainer to catch the seeds. That will get mixed in later. In a bowl big enough to whip 4 egg whites, I am cracking in 4 eggs and fishing out their yolks. A little risky, I know, but I don't usually have a problem if I'm careful. Just don't use eggs that are anywhere near their expiration date. Their yolks tend to be a little more fragile. And I know lemon bars don't typically have meringue on top, but I didn't have anything else in mind for the whites. Now I just mash the yolks up and get them mixed in well. Okay, now the crust is almost ready to come out. Here's the crust after 25 minutes. 20 probably would have been fine. This goes back in after the bars are topped with meringue. Okay, now I can put the saucepan over medium heat. This part is pretty easy, it just takes time. Stir constantly so nothing sticks and burns. The starch eventually starts to gel after 10 plus minutes. Keep stirring to smooth it out. I add the lemon juice once it looks like that, which I know isn't very scientific. Stir a little more before turning the heat off and stir some more after that. Now it's ready to pour onto the crust. Okay, this is a good consistency. You want to get it spread out kind of quickly. It sets up after it cools down. When I first learned how to make lemon filling, it blew my mind that most of the vibrant yellow color comes from the egg yolk. And you can make as much filling as you want, but I'm glad I made this amount. I could just throw some powdered sugar on here, but I'm going to make some meringue since I have the egg whites. On the stove I have a cup of sugar and enough water to cover it. Heat goes on high. There's a half teaspoon of cream of tartar in the whites to help stabilize them. I'm making Italian meringue because I never do it right when I do it for pies. It always ends up too loose. It will work for this since it's really functioning more like a frosting. It ended up being a mistake to put the sugar syrup on the smallest burner. It took forever to get hot enough to pour onto the whites. Ideally, you want it to hit 240 degrees once you get to the floppy peak stage. I had to wait for the syrup to get hot enough while the egg whites just sat there. Not good, but in this particular case it isn't a huge setback because this is going to get spread out so much. To get it to brown and to actually cook the whites, hopefully, I put it back into the 400 degree Fahrenheit oven for 20 minutes. Not too bad, except... oh god, look at that. That's typical though, I guess. Perhaps I could have incorporated cornstarch into the meringue. Next time I might try to find other uses for the egg whites. It would make things a lot less messy. Appearances aside, these tasted pretty darn good. The crust had nice caramel notes to it from the sugar and butter combination, and it tasted how I was hoping, something between a cookie and a graham cracker. So yeah, my goal was to use up these lemons and graham crackers and get back into making videos. Mission succeeded.